broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Fight fans, hello and welcome to another episode of UFC on AfterBuzz TV. My name, as always, is Jay Tan, and that's the credits to our show, so I know that we're live. Joining me here today is, of course, my cohort, my partner in crime. Cohort. Okay. Cohorts. I'm not a whore, so you are not a whore. Well, I'm definitely not a whore. George Hermoza, of course, the other half of the a.k.a. Ugly Laptop Brothers, as you can tell.
My mom says I look very handsome today. Thank you very much.
I would say so, man.
A laptop looks handsome?
Kind of. Who are you, by the way? You look nothing like Dario.
Let's go to the third one here at the panel, too. Yeah. My name is That's twice. See, George? We are the ugly and loud Laptop Brothers. Dawna Gonzales joins us here, covering the third spot here, as Dario Bernardo's not quite back with us yet, but shortly. Dawna comes to us. I've been trying to get her on the show for quite a long time. I think she's fully qualified to be here.
Thank you.
She is one of two people, actually, from the original and as long as anything, University of MMA commentary team. She started as post-fight interviews, and I was doing a lot of color commentary.
Yes.
Yourself, certainly well-versed training-wise as well. Purple belt in 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, correct?
Yes.
Under Eddie Bravo.
Yes, sir.
I was doing the math, trying to think how far we go back. When
Forever.
Legends MMA opened up, probably, about 10...
2007.
Was it 7? No, 6.
I joined in 2007.
Yeah, so almost a decade here.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, trust me. Girl knows her striking and jiu-jitsu combos.
Thank you, sir. I like to think of myself as a super fan.
All right, we are covering the biggest UFC, certainly of the year, some are saying ever. UFC 189 went down last night, of course.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday in Las Vegas, Nevada. Headlined by Chad Money Mendes and Conor, the notorious one, Conor McGregor. Big build-up. Chad, of course, being a last-minute replacement for Jose Aldo, who was to defend his featherweight title. Right underneath that, but certainly not any less of a quality match. Robbie Lawler defending his title, the welterweight title, for the first time against Rory McDonald, who has been a long time coming in terms of getting his title shot. Let's see some of the stats here. 16,000 plus fans. I'm not sure if it was a sellout. I believe it was, wasn't it?
It might have been. I mean, they said that this was the highest grossing gate for that arena.
Their
4th of July shows usually are one of their biggest draws.
That's one of the big tent poles.
WrestleMania.
7.2 million, second biggest UFC gate behind the UFC 129, which was in Toronto. 12 million for that one.
But was that GSP v.
Jake Shields?
Okay.
Because it was like a 40,000 seat arena.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Yeah, but still
probably the biggest in America, probably.
North America.
Yeah.
Oh, this one?
I'm sorry, US of A.
I believe.
The real America.
Believe it or not, I think that the first Strikeforce MMA show still holds that record, at least in terms of...
the one in the Coliseum? No. I'm thinking something else.
And as far as attendance goes?
Yeah, attendance. 2005, Frank Shamrock versus Carlos Gracie. No,
this is the gate, though.
Yeah. Gates, 7 million, blew away the Strikeforce show. Yeah. Right. But Strikeforce, in terms of attendance in there, I think that was over 19,000, I believe.
Jeez.
Yeah. It was the first one illegally in California, and has, I believe, held that record for, I want to say, North America.
That's
in terms
impressive.
of attendance.
I'm kind of curious what the pay-per-view buy rates are going to be.
Aren't we all?
I kind of have a prediction for the next McGregor fight, which probably against Aldo. I'll talk about that later, but I'm curious how this one drew, especially the way they made it sound like Dana said that so many more people bought the fight, or even
because of tickets. How can he determine that
after Aldo got hurt? I don't know. He says a lot of things.
It's trending.
Yeah.
as far as I know, a lot of it is based on trending, following, Twitter and online popularity and or searches rather.
Nobody Twitters. I'm going to buy the fight this weekend.
Very true.
I'm watching the fight over. Who's coming to my house? We have the fights.
Yeah, and even then, who knows if that actually happens or not. But let's run down the results real quick. It was an interesting show. Certainly a lot for us to digest. Opening on the Fight Pass prelims at 155. Yostenis Cedeno versus Corey Pfister. Corey Pfister wins by unanimous decision, 29-28. Then in the flyweight division, Neil Two-Tap Siri, one of the several Irishmen. I was going to say the Irish to come over, faced Louis Smolka, the Last Samurai. Smolka walks away, unanimous decision, 30-27. That one to me was an early fight of the night nomination, and I think possibly would have been had it not been for that main event card there.
Right.
The Fox Sports 1 prelims at one. I got a cutoff here. Let me check notes here. I want to get the weights right for the first time here.
Bantamweight?
Was it bantamweight? 135. Thanks. No, indeed. 135. Cordy No Love Garbrandt, who is a former Team Velasquez from Tough Latin America.
Currently trains at Team Alpha Male.
Exactly, yeah, one of the Team Alpha Male guys. Versus Henry Briones.
Not to talk about his personal life, but a lot of pictures of him and Paige Van Sant on Instagram.
Which one, Briones or Garbrandt?
Garbrandt, yeah.
Are they training partners?
Oh, yeah, they both train at Team Alpha Male, but I don't know.
Why
training partners.
Why are you trying to start... the rumors. What is that?
I'm just going off.
I'm sure he hasn't started them.
With my training partners.
I'm just going off what I read or what I see on the internet.
And that's a reliable
and hand
source.
Placements.
But then again, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Garbrandt walks away with that win, 30-27, unanimous decision across the board. Cathal Pendred, another of Conor McGregor's teammates, versus John Doomsday Howard. This is at 170. John Howard had a split decision win, 29-28, 29-28, and 28-29. Mix up those scores in whatever order you want to, guys. Mike Swick and Alex, the Dominican Nightmare Garcia. Swick coming off of, 2.5 years. A long break. He has had a series of... Guys, this goes back farther than we've been, but Mike Swick, one of the exalted alumni from Ultimate Fighter Season 1. Of course, a lot of guys have stood out and stood the test of time in MMA history with that season and that cast, but Mike Swick being one of the guys that really, I think, had a lot of potential to stand out and really have a strong run, but then was sidelined with a lot of injuries. Not even necessarily training injuries. There was, I don't remember the details, but I heard them mention an esophagal, some kind of an internal issue. Yeah, there was an issue with his esophagal, the esophagus, of course, that caused a lot of, digestion problems, things like that. And
that can definitely affect your ability to train correctly,
Yeah, a long span, several long spans in between his fights. Unfortunately, though, Alex Garcia took the decision 29-28 and 30-27.
Well, I read that Mike Swick went to Thailand and built like a huge gym training facility in Muay Thai and BJJ.
Because Thailand was lacking in Muay Thai gyms?
But according to what I read, it looks like a BJJ training facility. So it's kind of cool that
okay, that makes sense. It's like an MMA training facility.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I believe it's somehow connected with AKA. We were talking a little bit earlier.
That makes sense because Tiger Muay Thai.
Yeah. Swick, I believe, is one of the earlier guys at AKA.
Yeah.
Prior to this new crop of guys, coming from that gym. When he was fighting in the mid 2000s, when he was fighting more frequently, and has been over there for a while and has established his own gym, which I think is possibly AKA and Tiger Muay Thai related.
That sounds. Yeah.
So at any rate, unfortunate to see the match go the way that it did. It wasn't his night by any means. However, whose night it was, Matt the Immortal Brown.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, getting the first of a series of. Well, that set off the night, frankly, guys, with the rest of...
I agree.
Just back-to-back fantastic matches. The first finish of the entire show. He defeats Tim the Dirty Bird Means by guillotine in round 1, 4 minutes, 44 seconds. That one, worthy of performance bonus nomination, at least as far as I'm concerned. Next up at 135, Brad One Punch Pickett, coming from across the pond, although he's been with ATT for a while.
I meant Verizon.
Yes.
There was during
Team
the
AT&T.
Ultimate Fighter, after show. There was a bet that actually never completed, in which I was supposed to take a shot every time I screwed up and said AT&T. I got it right after that. From there on out.
Well, take a shot of water.
Yeah.
And pretend that you.
One Punch Pickett got it right against. I'm sorry, no, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Whoops. Okay, now I owe somebody a shot there.
Here, why don't you read the rest of the results?
He was doing okay.
Thomas Almeida winning by KO in the second, 29 seconds, with a fantastic flying knee there.
And it was the night of flying knees.
It really was. We saw that 2 matches later. But at 170, Gunny Nelson from Iceland, another Conor McGregor teammate, defeating Brandon Thatch by submission, guillotine choke in the first 2 minutes, 54 seconds. Dennis the Menace Bermudez facing Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens. That's at 145. That was the other flying knee. Stevens landing it at the third round, 32 seconds. And then our two big matches. Ruthless Robbie Lawler defeating, some say even coming from behind, defeating Rory McDonald, longtime heir apparent almost to the title, certainly heir apparent to the legacy of George St. Pierre.
Both huge fan favorites.
Yep, absolutely.
Really? I never liked Rory McDonald.
What? But who? I don't know if
you know who likes Rory McDonald? Patrick Bateman.
Everybody.
Yeah.
What?
Some people might not get that.
Patrick Bateman.
American Psycho.
American Psycho. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know anybody who is I don't think you can call yourself a fan of the sport if you don't at least appreciate what Rory McDonald can do in the cage.
Agreed.
But, and the same thing with Robbie Lawler. These guys have been around forever. You have to love them. You have to.
Yeah.
If you are a true fan of MMA.
Robbie is definitely a special case. Fascinating career to study because of all the ups and downs and the chronology, the legacy of him. He defeats McDonald by TKO in the fifth, 1 minute in, and then the big one, the one they've been building up for months. Well, no, they've been building it up only for 2 weeks, but had a plan to build it up for months. Chad Money Mendes, number one contender, coming in to replace Jose Aldo, facing, what do you want to call it? The UFC's darling, to be sure.
That's
Conor McGregor.
Probably the best way to put it, or the most accurate way to put it.
Yeah, who has been tearing up just about every MMA-related TV program you can imagine over the past several months here. McGregor wins with a TKO in round 2 towards the end, 4 minutes, 57 seconds. There was 3 minutes left in that round. Lots to digest, of course, just of these two matches.
3 seconds left in that round.
3 seconds, excuse me.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You should talk more. You don't make mistakes.
I don't have enough water here.
What shall we talk about? I got lots to say about lots of things.
Where do you start here? This, in broad strokes, to me, we started out kind of slowly with these prelims and the early prelims, and then after Matt Brown got there, he just lit off a powder keg there.
Right. Well, can I just say that was a beautiful guillotine that he did? It's what we refer to as a Marcelo-tine, named after Marcelo Garcia, one of the top grapplers in the country right now. Look him up; he's amazing. It's a guillotine, a no arm, and you have your hand right across the person's throat, and then you throw your other hand across their shoulder, and it's literally a guillotine. I'm not going to do it to him.
Okay.
But it's literally a guillotine.
I've done it.
It's
fine.
awesome, and it was beautiful, and I just want to give him a shout out for that, because, what? Yeah.
Winning.
What do you think of that match overall? We'll talk about the first round.
Well, I think that he came back. If I remember correctly,
He got rocked
Means hit him with an elbow and rocked him a bit, and everybody was like, whoa. And then he came back and hit him with an elbow himself, and then Means went for a takedown, and Matt was able to secure the submission, and it was exciting, and it was wonderful, and everybody got amped, and then, you're right, it set off the mood for the rest of the card.
Definitely not the first time we've seen Matt Brown come from behind, if you remember, against Eric Silva.
Yeah, I was just thinking that
mid kick, to the midsection. It looked like he was out, so definitely don't ever think that Matt Brown is out just because of a hit,
Yeah. He's definitely not a guy that you can count out.
Exactly.
You need to make sure he's not moving off of the off the floor, off the mat.
Make sure the ref has stopped the fight before you stop fighting Matt Brown.
Exactly. Brad One Punch Pickett, Thomas Almeida.
I like Brad Pickett a lot.
I do too. Pickett, my eyes, I'm looking here at Pickett's name. He's another fascinating one. I think he's a little bit hopefully earlier in the career than where Robbie Lawler is right now.
Yeah.
Pickett is a guy that he's been around for a long time, guys. Fantastic WEC guy, and prior to that, I saw him fight once or twice over in Europe.
Nice.
Before he really, of course, he got his Zuffa contract. Has been one of these little guys. I think he was fighting at 35 at that point. Came over here. When they opened up flyweight, he dropped down and had mixed results there, but is back up to 135. He's got a win over Demetrius Johnson.
I saw that. That's impressive.
Early on in the WEC days.
So it was only 5 years ago, too. Not like it was like 10 years ago. It was 5 years ago that he beat him.
Yeah, but he's moved back up, and that's always fascinating when you see a fighter drop down but then move back up clearly to give the body a chance to be healthy and to be fit going into a match. He went up against somebody. I mean, Thomas Almeida. I don't know.
Can we look
now
at his
20-0
for a second? Right.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about this,
dude. Well, can we go back to the jumping weights for a second? I think we're going to see a lot more of it now that IV recovery after weigh-ins is not allowed. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see a lot of guys fighting at their natural walking weight.
That's the other big story. I mean, this we should say was really a pinnacle UFC event.
Yeah.
For many reasons, not just this being one of the best pay-per-views. Of course, we'll put a pin in it and talk about the IV regulations now. New standards for drug testing with UFC's partnership with USADA can be a lot stricter, and the most very almost career-ending penalties. 2 to 3 to 4 years.
Look at Gilbert Melendez at this stage in his career. A year from now, can we really expect him to come back and fight the way that we want him to fight?
The way that we want him to fight? That's a good question. I do think there are many matches left in him still, but there is. He may be over the 50% mark on this thing, and of course, the sponsorship and the Reebok deal.
It's the first. I mean, it's really the first big event of this new era. Not just with the whole Reebok thing, and we really saw it in force yesterday. We saw the uniforms get unveiled. Like 2 weeks ago or so?
Something like that.
About a week ago, yeah.
But this is really the first. Not even just the Reebok, but like new graphics, new everything. Like just the whole setup as far as the names on the bottom of the screen with the time and
it's more towards the center.
Yeah.
It took me a second to get the rounds. I'm like, what rounds?
Yeah,
What's going on? Why don't we know what the rounds are?
Were you guys a fan of the new graphics?
No.
Me neither.
Not a fan, but not a fan either.
Yeah, I'm neutral. I'll get used to it and it'll be fine. Yeah. For a second last night, I was like, what's going on?
I was very confused because I remember seeing on the Fight Pass prelims they used that, but then watching the Fox prelims, it seemed like they were going back to the older version, which I'm used to, which makes sense to me. And I don't even remember what they used for the pay-per-view. Did they use the
new one?
The new one.
Okay, I would think so.
But with that said, what do you guys think of the uniforms?
Not a fan.
The best description I saw was based off of the unveiling. Guys, definitely worth looking out. Go look up. It's about 30 minutes, I think, 30 or 40 minutes.
It's funny because
YouTube clip of them.
When you texted me about the whole Gilbert Melendez and Giblert, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I really had no idea what you're talking about.
Melendez,
none whatsoever.
Giblert.
None whatsoever until I saw the picture of the uniform.
Fair point that these typos, they'll get them worked out, I'm sure, before any of those fighters fight. But again, guys, go to YouTube, find that UFC and Reebok intros the new uniforms. If you haven't seen it already, there's a lot of comedy in there. I hate to tell you, but there were some mispronunciations, I think, certainly misspellings.
Cain
Velasquez, yeah. The uniforms, the best thing that I heard, to go back to it, was it looks like the UFC champions are going out to audition for the Hunger Games. I don't. If this thing wasn't so hyped up as being the be all to end all of fight attire,
right,
I might be on board with it more.
Right.
But this has been built up to be such a huge, great revelation and of technology in attire. Maybe it feels comfy, but the shit doesn't look very interesting. I mean, it's really standard,
I agree that we should get back to it. We should get back to Almeida.
Yes.
But we should definitely spend some more time talking about this.
Fair enough, true. Thomas Almeida, who is
good.
Yeah, he's good.
That's
She's
an
good.
understatement.
19-0 here. I'm looking his list, a lot of these guys, granted, he's fought of that 19-0. He's now 3 fights in the UFC.
Brad Pickett is like a win over Brad Pickett is very, very good.
Absolutely,
I mean,
that's
these
not
guys have over 20 fights. I mean, Almeida has 20 fights. Pickett has 30 plus fights.
Yeah,
these are legitimate opponents.
He's got a first round TKO over Yves Jabouin.
This is the most important thing, though. 20-0, 19 finishes.
Yeah.
Is he 20-0?
Yeah, he's 20-0.
That's what I thought.
And it's all
interesting. Sherdog has him listed at 19-0, but it does have his
all
finishes.
Not even one finishes, but his first 13.
One decision.
His first 13 fights, first round. Next one, second round. Next one, first round.
Well, I mean, there's questions about that. There's not questions about his record.
Right.
But, I mean, when you see records like this, is this...
Who did he fight?
The best guy in a small region who's just whooping through everybody?
Well, at that point, Thomas Almeida was.
That's what that is. So I'm not trying to take away from his record at all.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is what we need to look at is the latter part of his career, and which is just as impressive or even more so because that's when we have the better quality opponents.
He's still finishing.
Yeah, he's 3 fights in with the UFC. Of the previous 3 fights before that, 2 of them were with Legacy Fighting Championships in Texas. They're televised. They have some fantastic fights. They wouldn't be televised if they weren't.
Right.
Thomas Almeida is a guy. I remember him being one of the guys towards the end when we did our year-end show in December. He was one of the list of guys to watch for this year. And so far, knock on wood,
he's legit.
Has not proven me wrong. Yep.
Yeah.
This was a test for him. Yeah, it's funny as I think about it here. This was a test for him, much like Chad Mendes was a test for Conor McGregor. And he was able to get through it. Maybe you could argue that he came from behind or so, but...
I think there were moments. I think that in the moment that he won, he had just come from behind. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I do remember everybody in the room where I was like, what? So he did come from behind.
Because Pickett did have that first round.
Yeah.
I did give Pickett that first round. So
yeah, I'm looking at it. It doesn't look like I scored it, but I know there was a solid trade of headshots. Pickett was working his left really well. Dropped Almeida in it. Yeah. And then
he got dropped. That's what it was.
Yeah. Almeida later dropped Pickett as well in that first round, but that was a strong
nice exchange.
Absolutely was. And then that flying knee comes out of nowhere at the top of the second. And I mean, he landed and knew it was done.
Am I thinking of the right fight that Pickett just tried an attempted knee, and then Almeida answered back? And
I thought he shot in. I don't remember offhand. He was coming towards him.
Quick exchange.
I believe Pickett was advancing on him, and Almeida just landed it. Measured it and landed squarely.
Yeah.
But absolutely, he did. He was one of 2 guys that won performance bonuses of the night. Conor McGregor was the other one. We could have some debate about that one.
And we talked about it with Alan Gibon last episode too, where I'm sure there's a few other guys that got a little bonuses.
Fair
unofficial
point.
bonuses.
Right.
Yeah. I'm
Alan
looking.
Gibon fighting this Wednesday. Can we just put that out there?
Oh,
UFC
we have
night.
and we will. Yep. Big fight night. Huge fight night, really. Coming off of a huge pay-per-view. Guys, Wednesday night.
There's a show on right now, to be honest with you.
That's right.
All your UFC needs can be met this week.
Everybody watching live, thank you so much. I'm sure you're watching the other one in the background, but thank you so much for watching, because we are live.
See if my man... Joe Boza is in the house.
Joseph Boza is the man.
What up, Joe? And James Foran as well, I see here. Joseph Boza, let's talk really. I agree with the panel. Has Thomas really been challenged? His debut was the only fight he had that went to the judges. I think he was challenged with this fight, man. I absolutely think so.
Conor volunteers as tribute.
That's tribute. I don't understand that.
You just said of the Hunger Games.
Oh.
everybody, they called everybody tribute.
I saw the first one. I don't remember the rest of it.
James
Foran.
James, I think that's exactly what we were talking about. We haven't seen a whole bunch of his career up to this point in the UFC, and that's what we're seeing now. And obviously, Pickett was a huge test for him. You can't deny Pickett's what he brings into the cage. So. I think we are beginning to see him tested, and we will continue to see him tested, and that's what we're saying is this guy's the real deal, and we're really excited about it.
At 20-0, you've got to start being tested, especially if you're 20-0
Correct.
in the UFC, and you've already beaten a guy like Yves Jabouin.
Right.
Now you got Brad Pickett. Yeah, you're going to be moving. I think he was ranked 14. Pickett was 15.
Yeah.
We'll see him move up the ranks here. Moving on, though, let's talk.
Pickett was 15 in the flyweight. But was 14th on the bantamweight.
Yeah, fair enough. At welterweight, Gunny Nelson versus Brandon Thatch.
Gunny Nelson is here, boy. You call him Gunny?
It rolls off the tongue. Gunny. No, I have never been to Finland. I don't know anyone in Iceland. I don't even know what the difference is, quite frankly. No, I do. Finland is one of the three that dangles. Iceland's in the middle,
I think
along with Greenland.
That sounds sure. Yeah.
What do you think? It was fast. 2 minutes, 54 seconds. Thatch. I have my thoughts on Thatch. Yep. Gunny Nelson. Both of these guys, Thatch and Gunny. I think if they've given a chance to, I think they're kind of giving them the opportunity to become stars of tomorrow for the UFC.
And I think they will.
Especially with Gunnar Nelson, who just came off a loss against Rick Story. They didn't kind of lessen the level of his opponent. They still kind of gave him a very much quality Brandon Thatch.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And actually, kudos to Gunnar Nelson for choking him out.
And as I was saying to you before the show, I don't think that you can take the loss against Gunnar Nelson or his previous loss to Benson Henderson as a representation of his career. If you look back, those are the only two losses he has, and those are two top-level grapplers. We're talking Gunnar Nelson is a Renzo Gracie black belt. That is really top-level grappling there. Benson Henderson.
Is that hard to do? Jiu-Jitsu black belt?
It's a little bit hard.
Really?
You know, they don't just hand them out. Well, you can pay some people for them. Most people, that is all blood, sweat, and tears. They call it a black belt because that's blood, sweat, and dirt that you've got on that thing and you've made a belt black. So, two really top-level grapplers that this guy has faced. And before that, all impressive wins. I think that we have not seen the last of Brandon Thatch. I think he will continue to grow. I think that that losing by rear naked choke to Gunnar Nelson, he's a high
That's
level.
What you do.
Yeah, that's what you do. You get tapped out by the black belt, so it's okay.
Thatch, that's a second loss in a row for Thatch, second loss in a row by rear naked choke. Prior to that, he fought Benson Henderson, I believe. Let's see, now this was Valentine's Day this year.
14th.
Yeah, it was the Colorado show, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Henderson, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he was a last-minute replacement, like 2 weeks or so.
I think it was Stephen Thompson against Brandon Thatch.
Right. And Thompson, I guess, got injured or something. He had to withdraw.
And Benson stepped in. Yeah, that sounds about right, because Henderson's pretty much, he's like Cowboy. He's like, yeah, call me, I'll fight, let's do this.
Right.
Plus because he just came off a loss against Cowboy.
That's right, it was like a week. He took it on a week. Cowboy, it was right after Cowboy stepped up and took that fight in a very short amount of time, and then the very next fight, Henderson was like, yep, sign me up, coach. Let's do it. So
prior to
I think
that,
it was a beautiful win for Henderson, by the way. But I don't think it says anything about
Thatch.
Yeah.
Prior to that, you're looking at a 10-fight winning streak from 2009.
Right.
Wins over Paulo Thiago, the more recent ones before the two losses. Paulo Thiago, Justin Williams, Mike
Edwards.
Biggie Rhodes.
Right.
Excuse me, Justin Edwards. Mike Biggie Rhodes in RFA. That was right before he and actually Biggie himself came to the UFC. So, clearly he needs to work on his rear naked chokes.
Yeah, I would say, call Eddie Bravo. He has a great rear naked choke escape. It's called Dark Haven and Safe Haven. Call him.
Dark Haven and Safe Haven?
Yeah.
Those Eddie Bravo names.
Hey.
Jeez. Guys, it's one thing if you don't know Eddie Bravo or the 10th Planet Universe Jiu-Jitsu system.
Moves.
Yeah, there's one thing if you're studying Jiu-Jitsu and you got to learn those names. But then when you go to 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu and No-Gi Jiu-Jitsu, it's a whole other thing. What else is there? Dead Man, Homer Simpson.
We don't have any regular names, so what are you asking me? Like, everything has a funny name. But that's how...
Gangster Lean.
We have a Gangster Lean.
I don't even know what that is.
We have Homie Control.
Homie Control. They have Homie Control, guys.
Stoner Control. We have something called the Douchebag.
Okay.
No, it's in our defense.
Yes.
It makes for easy coaching and competition.
Because it's code words.
Because it's code words.
And you have to be in on the joke. We know what we're talking about.
And usually when you're saying, I want you to get here, there's already a whole path that leads up to that. So if Eddie or whatever coach yells out, get here, the fighter or the competitor already knows, I need to take this path to get there.
So in order for me to get to Gangster Lean, I have to go through Mad Dog City, jump over to the donut shop, and then somehow cinch in a dead man zombie with a...
We have a zombie.
Moss-covered 3-drawered family credenza.
Right.
And then get into Gangster Lean, yeah?
Hey, however you need to get to Gangster Lean, you get there.
Not true, because a moss-covered 3-drawered family credenza is what, George?
It's a wrestling move.
Bam! It's a wrestling move. Count Count it, guys. 29 minutes, 31 seconds brought in pro wrestling.
Oh my God.
Let's not.
Jeremy Stevens face Dennis Bermudez in the next fight.
Is this a thing?
This can be a thing, and I'm feeling a little bit deficient.
This was a fun little fight again.
Yeah.
Very similar finish. This one came out of nowhere. Like the first fight, and it was
like
pretty
the
cool.
flying knees do.
Yeah,
they
the flying knee.
You don't normally set up a flying knee.
I don't know. I've been in some fights one of these, and I just yell it out, "Flying knee!" And then boom, I let it happen. It's like, dude, I just told you I'm going to do that. I don't know how you didn't expect it.
This to me was another fight of the night nomination. This was a good one.
I mean,
lots of action.
Great fights leading up to the last two.
Right. Yeah. Both guys were swinging hard. Stevens and Dennis, pretty evenly matched. I gave Dennis the first one, the first round. They were swinging hard. Jeremy Stevens, I gave the second one. He was strong in the first half of the second round. Stepped off the gas a little bit, I thought, but then leg kicks, dropped Dennis a couple of times in the second, and then in the third round, again, early in the round, let's see, Dennis. He was attacking with fast hands, and Stevens just landed that flying knee.
I'm curious if Stevens saw the first fight and said, I'm going to try that. Or if, it'd be maybe even cooler if they didn't even know, if Stevens didn't even know about that.
I said it last night, the flying knees are the new push kick. So, but I think moves like that happen. I think what happens is it's an energy among fighters. It's just like the Showtime kick. Look how many guys tried the Showtime kick after Pettis pulled it off against Benson Henderson. So the same thing. Machida knocked out Randy Couture with a push kick, and then a whole bunch of people started doing push kicks. So I think that we're going to see a whole bunch of people like, what up, flying knees? That's going to happen. But I think that was awesome. And I think that...
Oh, look, it says that Stevens missed weight.
That's what I wanted to talk about. He missed weight, and there's my question. Now, I know that he has to give up a portion of his purse, but
20%.
And that's fine. I think that's fair. This is a professional sport. Come in and do your job. However, what I'm wondering is because the guys aren't allowed to do IV recoveries anymore, since he was over and he didn't have that recovery to make, if he was maybe a little bit more fresh than Bermudez, because maybe Bermudez did do a cut. And these guys aren't used to not recovering without the IVs yet. Did I say that correctly?
I think I follow what you're saying.
These guys are not used to recovering without IVs.
Right, yeah. Well, but that's who's to say that Dennis necessarily did.
Absolutely. These are observations that we have no answers to, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think your point is definitely correct that we're going to see guys changing weights a lot. I think it's just safer and better.
But what's going to happen is there's going to be a bumpy road before everybody gets that's where we need to be. Obviously, we love the sport. We love the fighters who fight because we want to continue to watch them fight. We want them to be in their best health while they're fighting, after they're fighting, and everything leading up to that. But there are going to be some guys that are like, no, man, I'm going to cut. I'm going to do this because I'm so much stronger.
It's a wrestler's mentality. It's a tough guy thing.
Right, it is a tough guy thing, but somebody's going to suffer for it. I think we're going to see something is going to happen, or I think something that is going to happen that will make everybody stand up and go, oh, this is really dangerous, because I don't think it's enough for people surrounding fighters to go, dude, this is dangerous.
Do you think that there already hasn't been enough between the deaths in college wrestling from too much dehydration several years ago?
Right.
Last year we had a death in Brazil.
That's why guys started doing the IVs, and no, I don't think it's been predominant enough yet. I don't think there is enough.
Perish that thought.
Right, I don't, but that's what I'm saying. I think we are going to see somebody do something really stupid before guys go, I can't take that risk with my body. Because think about it, everybody's in Superman mode. No, I'm cool, don't worry about it, I got this. Yeah. And when you're in Superman mode, you feel like you are not impenetrable, invincible. You feel like you're invincible. And so telling a guy, dude, your body can't take doing this. Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Yeah. I think you're right. You could possibly have more of a learning curve.
I don't want to see it happen.
Right. Fair to say, yeah. More of a learning curve with wrestlers who are going to say, oh, this is what I do. It's part of the wrestling culture. And if you come from
all the time, too, even concussions. We were talking about concussions earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays, we see a lot of studies going into that.
Yeah, hydration is super important, especially for, I want to say, head trauma recovery and concussion prevention. That's water up here, guys. There's the brain in the middle. I'm doing this as if I could take my face off and show you guys, but So for those of you on iTunes, just envision me ripping my face off and seeing my brain right in the middle of my head there.
Such a pleasant vision.
All around that is water. There's water and cushy stuff, blood, obviously.
The electrolytes need to be all swimming around to make everything
work. You need as much of that liquid in your noggin as possible.
I'm just afraid that we're going to see somebody think that it doesn't apply to them.
I hope we can avoid that. And the UFC is a couple months ago announced a new partnership with should have the presser
USADA.
The USADA is going to be testing. One part of the new, certainly the new culture is the USADA testing, but also Frenetics or not Frenetics. I'm sorry, a new training and performance group dedicated to pro athletes. They're partnering up with the UFC to help kind of bring them into a more forward-thinking training methods.
I think it's essential if we expect this sport to move forward the way that we want it to. We all love Robbie Lawler and we all love Rory McDonald, but how many fights like that can either of those fighters take? I mean, truth be told, we don't know if Rory is going to be able to recover and fight again from that fight last night. That might have been a career-ending fight that we watched. And
I don't think it's. I hope it's not career-ending.
I hope it's not.
Career-altering for sure. Let's talk about that. 5-round war or four and change, back and forth. A fascinating match to me. I'll qualify it by saying that at least in the beginning we saw. So this is the first title defense for Robbie. Robbie Lawler. Excuse me. He was more patient and methodical, not necessarily. I mean, when he was swinging for the fences, he was swinging for some fences.
There was a lot of respect being shown that first round.
Yeah, let's go round by round. I mean, myself, it's really funny. I scored it going in. I think it looks like I had Rory 3-1 against Robbie, as did the judges. Yeah, as it came out on Twitter.
Myself, her, Dana White also had it 2-2. So I was like, this fifth round.
That was it. Yeah, that was going to be the determining round as far as the rest of us were concerned.
Robbie was definitely doing a lot more damage there. I thought Rory was a bit busier, especially in the first.
He definitely landed more significant strikes, according to CompuBox. Or CompuStrike.
I mean, Rory's nose was broken in the first or the second? I think it was the second.
They both took some serious damage.
Yeah, both of them rocking the crimson mat. And certainly Rory very early on.
Rory was getting good.
Was it the second round? Because he was really red, but then I don't think he actually broke his nose. I
think it was the second.
Lawler bloodied him up in the second.
Yeah.
And I gave the second round to Lawler for damage.
Yeah.
But Rory, at that point, he was throwing combos and kicks.
Those head kicks.
A lot of head kicks, especially the third and the fourth.
Yeah.
I believe it was in the third that he rocked Lawler with a head kick.
He gave him some nice torque on that, and Robbie was only blocking it.
Yeah.
Like, Rory's ankle made contact with Robbie's wrist. That was like, and you saw the
You'll
playback,
shatter your forearms.
Yeah, it was.
As Kung Lee did to Frank Shamrock. You've got to do
That's
kind of
in several fights.
Yeah. You've got to do a powerful, a stronger block there, not just with the forearm.
That coaches teach you to block like this and not like that.
Thoughts on it? I mean, did you see?
Oh my God, what a war!
I mean, yeah.
Which one? Let me ask you. Which two did you give to Lawler versus Rory going into the fifth?
At round 2 for Lawler.
I had Lawler 1 and 2, and Rory 3 and 4.
Okay. You gave
I
Lawler
can't remember the second round that I gave Lawler. I really can't.
Second round, I could believe.
I think a lot of people gave Lawler the second round.
Yeah, I definitely, 100% the second round.
Yeah.
So, out of that match, which a lot of people are talking about, certainly it's a Fight of the Year nominee.
Yeah.
We see there's a picture on Twitter going around of Robbie and Rory. At the hospital together, and great show of sportsmanship. We
love the sportsmanship.
This is a rematch from another match that they had several years ago, which was a split decision. Robbie won that one. What do you think is what's the story that comes out of this match for both of these guys?
Oh man, I mean, where do they go from here?
For Rory, it may be starting the ABCs all over again, right?
Even with Robbie, I really don't want to see another match with him and Hendricks. I don't know.
You don't?
That's just me.
I'll watch it.
I mean,
I'm in Donna's camp on that one.
It's not too different from seeing Aldo's and Mendes again.
Sure.
You know, I don't know, just not something I want to see.
It's not very it's not very, what's the word, fresh or new.
Right.
But you know it's going to deliver.
But it's going to be, thank you, it's going to be good. What I'm taking away from this, several things.
Yeah.
The biggest question for me as both of their fans is how many more fights can they, can they do like that? We loved watching that fight last night, but at the same time, you're like, geez, how much damage can these guys' head take? Like when Rory, you saw his skull break, and you're just like, oh my God.
That punch that sent him, that pretty much knocked him down, you got to think too, how much punishment
did it take to get up to that point?
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
we've seen guys take so much punishment, even if Rory, but for something like that bad for him to just kind of collapse.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a liver shot. It wasn't like a knockout.
This is a tough dude. Like, you have to break his skull to stop Rory McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would like to see in the future, obviously, I'd love to see Robbie maintain his belt for a while and defend it beautifully like we always see him do, however long he needs to take to recover from this fight. That might be quite a while. I'd love to see Rory recover fully and be a functioning human being before we see him back in the ring. And if that's the case, then come back in the ring and entertain us all.
Yeah.
But please go be a functioning human being and get well first.
It's funny, he's still so young. He's only 25.
I know.
Just 25, jeez.
Best walkout music story ever. You guys know the story of his walkout music? I just learned it last night.
No, I didn't catch it.
So I don't know if you guys remember, but early in his career, he would walk out to really like random music, like Katy Perry or I don't know. I can't remember.
As you do.
As you do. So everybody just always thought he was kind of like a strange dude picking out random walkout music. I think he even walked out to "I'm a Barbie Girl" once. You know that Barbie song. So the story
that only convinces me of the jar full of fingernails and toenails in his closet
here's
there.
The awesome story.
Okay.
He changed his number, and instead of
what number?
His phone number. He changed his cell phone number.
He's not texting me back.
Right, exactly. So the way that the communication was happening between whoever was in charge of walkout music at the UFC was via text message. Whoever got his new number, his old number, was either savvy, smart, or just a super troll to figure out what was going on.
Wow.
And started answering this person's text messages
on behalf
whenever
of Rory
would fight and just giving them random songs like Barbie Girl in a Barbie World. And they were like, so Rory didn't know that he could pick out his own music. He just, like, he'd show up and he'd be like, I guess this is what they're playing for me. And it wasn't a thing. Clearly it wasn't a thing for him that he cared what he was walking out to. So he would just walk out like, whatever. So then one day, before one of his fights, they came up to him. They're like, "Hey, we don't have the rights to that song. You're going to have to pick another one." And he was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
Oh, damn. That is a troll job of troll jobs.
Like, you almost want to call that dude and be like, "How did you know?" And
you want to not change the numbers, what you want to do.
Like, what? Or, I don't know. I feel like
if that story gets out,
did you really want Katy Perry? Like,
right.
I might call him.
If that story, how long has that story been around?
I don't know. I heard it from a friend last night who heard it on the Joe Rogan podcast. So at least 1 million people have heard it since it's been on the Joe Rogan podcast.
True. I mean, that could, if that story got out, or now it's getting out for sure. It's, I would think that would make Rory even more of a fan favorite. People are going to want to get behind him.
That he was like,
even though he has nothing to do with his,
like, whatever.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Because do you think Rory is giving any F's about his walkout? Do you see his face?
Right.
This is a dude that's like, I am here to break your soul.
Hey, George, you know who probably it is that was texting back? Patrick Bateman! I'm just saying. Oh. It would stand to reason there.
Yeah, probably.
I think the two of them are in cahoots.
Bring your energy down just a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm going to need you to chill out.
Okay,
well, maybe that'll be the case, or maybe he'll need to bring it up for the next match. The main event, Chad Mendes, Conor McGregor. We have a new world's UFC featherweight champion.
Interim.
We were going to have a new interim UFC featherweight champion. Yes, because it was because it was interim. But Conor McGregor, 2 minutes, second round, 4 minutes 57 seconds.
Yeah.
Some say I'm still amazed. Yeah, he won the title. He is the champion now. Interim champion. He would say he is the champion.
He would say that.
Many people are saying they are still not on the hype train of Conor McGregor. They do not believe that he is all that he talks himself up to be. And you were just raising your hand, Dawna.
Do you want to go or do you want me to go first?
You can go first because I'll probably react to it.
Right.
Let's talk about the match. a little bit
Let's talk
first.
about the
Okay, let's
match
talk about
first.
the match, and then we'll talk about the Conor McGregor hype.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
real quick before the match, though.
Yeah.
I know that July is kind of their biggest show now of the year. You know, going back to UFC 100. Coincidentally, that was on July 11th, 2009. Brock versus Mir.
Yeah.
The next year was like Brock Carwin. Then it was like Cruz favorite. So it's kind of like this is their WrestleMania / Super Bowl / World Series now.
Yeah.
Hall of Famers, you know. But I never really had that vibe until last night. Until they had Sinead O'Connor. Aaron Lewis sing to the guys, and I was like, man,
we've never seen that in UFC before.
This is cool. This feels like a huge deal, a big fight, and like I said, it made for an amazing more atmosphere, especially with the huge Irish crowd, singing like a classic Irish song. I was like pumped,
The fight nerd in me, just a little bit is like, oh, now we're all big and commercial. And I get it. It's great for the UFC. It's great for the sport. This means who doesn't love the sport and want it to become bigger and become what it's going to be?
Yeah.
But they're
sleeping with Reebok and Fox and Budweiser. They're commercial already.
It's definitely not something I want to see on a regular basis. Something I would want to see only on the
that's fair.
Especially
that's totally fair.
Especially with next year, they already announced that UFC 200.
Right.
Is going to be
July 2nd.
That's going to be big.
Yeah.
It's going to be big.
That Independence Day is going to be just insane.
I'd like to see Ronda defend her title back then. I'm just saying.
Well, she got a few things to take care of before July 2016, so slow your roll.
Right.
But now we can get into the fight.
Well, let me ask, do you think that that's something that, would you want to see them do that, the big walkouts and everything that they've done?
Only on certain fights.
Only on certain specific fights, not necessarily beholden to the event that it is, like the year-end one or this July one or Memorial Day.
Year-end would be, I mean, make it be special. Make it be a special thing, and make it always be for big championship fights.
The year-end / early year, like June, July. I think this year was January 2nd or 3rd. But I mean, that's a big deal. It's like their that's like their all-star game, their SummerSlam.
Yeah, I could see it happening.
Yeah, so maybe.
James Foran in the chat room is saying that Lawler won the walkout music battle for the welterweight title fight.
What did he walk out to?
I have no idea.
I remember actually liking what Robbie was walking out to, but I don't remember what it is.
The other walkout music conversation I remember was Spencer Fisher. Everyone was making a big deal over him picking Eazy-E. And I forgot what song it was exactly. But
I don't remember.
Yeah, that was something that came up in the post-fight press conference. Interesting, though. This is the first time in a long time,
I still maintain that Ryan Bader has the best walkout music.
I think Ronda Rousey, and I know
he walks out to the
I will say this.
True.
I will say this. Although I think it should be done for big things, I think Joan Jett should sing out Ronda Rousey because I think that's the best walkout music out there.
But that's not who sings that song.
Yes, it is. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Do they sing
Bad Reputation?
Oh,
yeah.
That would be badass.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah. That's something I guess we know what's going on for UFC 200.
I vote yes.
Let's see. Okay.
Somebody call Joan.
Duly noted. James Foran is also saying that Foggy Dew is a rebel song for the Irish.
Yeah, like
that's pretty cool.
Irish song.
Yeah.
No, I mean it was a warrior song.
So this fight, Chad Money Mendes, the question is finally answered. What is this big hype Irish guy going to do against a wrestler? You don't think the question
he was exposed? I think that we found out that McGregor.
McGregor?
I think McGregor was exposed. I think that we found out that he doesn't have really any takedown defense to speak of. Yes, Chad is an extremely high-level wrestler, but McGregor sprawled once.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where was your takedown defense?
For
and maybe just because of the grappling background that I do, I don't agree with laying on the ground, pulling guard, and waiting for the ref to stand you up. I think that if you're going to call yourself the greatest of all time, be great. Okay, here's my big speech because I have to say it now.
Do it.
I'm not a Conor McGregor hater.
Right.
I am saying that he is not worthy of the hype yet. I think the conversation that should be being had about Conor McGregor is kind of what we were just talking about Almeida, is, whoa, this dude is legit. He's on his way up. We are excited about following his star, and he is well on his way there. But it seems like everybody just ran up to the top of the mountain and was like, this is Conor's mountain. No, dude, he hasn't earned it yet.
Everybody ran up there?
A lot of people did.
Meaning that they got behind him in the hype.
They got behind him in the hype, and I don't think that he is worthy of the hype yet. His striking, crisp and beautiful, absolutely. I think his ground game has been exposed. I think he doesn't have too much takedown defense that we saw last night. And why were you holding back? Isn't this where you should show it, since you are professing that you are the GOAT already. And where was your offense on the ground? Good for you that you escaped 2 submissions, but
He certainly wasn't on the ground what he has shown to be on his feet.
Yeah.
Fair to say?
Absolutely. And his feet, on the feet, absolutely. I don't think he's there yet.
I mean, I think it was July 11th. I think they announced that he was going to fight Mendes on June 30th. So that's not even 10 days of training. That's what.
But did you know that people can
training?
take you down in MMA if you're the greatest of all
Well,
time?
but when you train against Jose Aldo for the last 3-4 months, it's not really a priority.
I know,
as
but
well.
Who's
what
not
I'm
a
saying
takedown
is
guy
don't come
per
in and
se,
say that
but-
you're the
Yeah,
best
I know.
if you're not going to be the best.
That's why I never really thought of Anderson Silva as the best of all time, because I thought when he's on the ground, I thought he was kind of
and that's the
garbage.
whole thing. Everybody wants Conor McGregor to be the second coming of Anderson Silva. Cool, but let him do it.
Yeah.
Don't give him the credit for being that
Now,
already.
When you say people, who are these people? Like UFC?
I don't know. Get UFC.
Because I
get
think
on
that-
any social media, and everybody's like, "We told you, Irish pride." You're
I think
what?
UFC and all their pushing their darling. I think it's because of the reaction that he's getting. I don't think that.
Well, I mean, but that's not just because the UFC has yeah, dude, we found our hype man, and this guy is great at the hype. They're a business, and their business is selling fights. So they don't necessarily need the most talented fighter to sell the
Absolutely.
hype. But if we are talking about my job as a super fan, who people want me to talk about it, I want to talk about the talent. If the UFC wants to hire me to, do some other stuff, then I'll talk about the hype.
Right.
As a super fan, don't call yourself the best unless you're the best.
I think there's a gray area, though, of Conor's hype and what he can do. The actions are going to speak louder than words, for sure, in the cage.
And then I'll jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
But I'm not there yet.
He did finish Chad Mendes.
That's questionable.
Let's talk about that as well. 4 minutes, 57 seconds, 3 minutes to go. The action was, let's see if I've got it here.
It was a beautiful straight left. Absolutely.
Conor escapes from bottom, stuffs the takedown.
Even when he got back up from the takedown, though, he looked good.
Oh, I mean, he gassed himself out on the ground.
A lot of guys who get up from being taken down the way he did and getting those elbow shots that he said he didn't phase him, that didn't get phased. He literally got up and looked like he never even got taken down. He looked completely as crisp as the second number 1 from the fight.
He drops Mendes with a combo, follows up with rights. Now, Mendes, for his part, what I remember seeing is him falling backwards, but then turning.
Intelligently defending into the turtle position, which is a very legitimate defense in that position. And just 2 weeks earlier, we saw Graves and Jackson.
It was Jason Jackson.
Jackson in Ultimate Fighter, where they actually let Graves defend himself like that for a really long period of time. So are you telling me in this huge fight where Mendes was actually putting up an intelligent defense that it couldn't have gone on 3 seconds longer to go into another round?
Right.
Part of it might have been that maybe he wasn't aware how much time was left.
It's possible.
Maybe, yeah.
The referee, it's Herb Dean reffing. You can't say that Herb doesn't know when, he hears that clock 10 seconds.
This is why I'm like, what? Because Herb took so much flack a long time ago for stopping fights early. People were having huge issue with him stopping fights early.
Like the Uriah Faber and Henan Barao,
And so then he went almost in the exact opposite direction, that he would let fights go on a lot longer, that people were like, okay, Herb, stop the fight.
But this one didn't do that.
He stopped it immediately when Chad hit the ground as he turtled, which is...
He was turtled up.
I get that Chad was like, yeah, dude,
Conor landed about 4 shots.
And he was very gracious, and he's a sportsman, and that's what he does.
Right.
Watching that, though, as if I were the ref, if somebody wanted to hire me to be the ref, I would have let that go to the end of the round.
Right.
I would have given Chad a few more seconds to defend.
I would agree. I would think that Herb is probably counting down in his head 10, 9, 8.
He heard the clap.
Exactly. The 10-second clap.
This is in his DNA.
Right.
Herb, Big John, all those guys, they hear the clap, their body knows how that goes.
But the end of the round shouldn't determine...
Of course it shouldn't. However, you didn't give Chad any time to continually... intelligently defend himself.
What I saw was Conor knocking down Chad falling backwards, but again, twisting over. There may have been something in Chad's eye that Herb saw and said, this guy is out.
And he was a little,
and when he turtled up.
Going for huge submission, your body, that is a full body attempt to make a submission, and I completely concede all of that. I'm just saying that I could have seen the fight go to the end of the round. and be okay with that.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that point. Wrapping up real quickly, let's talk about one other thing here. Touching base, talking about the uniforms, talking about more stringent drug testing. What do you guys think about the uniforms in general? I mean, I know we asked a little bit briefly.
It's just one of those things where it's like, I get what they're trying to do, and why would they do that? Because at the end of the day, it didn't make me want to buy Reebok at all. Like, I might in the future, but it's like nothing about this show made me want to say, now I want to get something that's Reebok. Yeah. That's all it is. It's brand placement. I'm like, they didn't do anything for me. So
I kind of liked the hoodies as they walked out.
Those were the only things I did like.
Yeah, but other than that, the T-shirts were very unremarkable. The shorts were borderline annoying to me. Yeah. I saw one great tweet.
There was a nice. Who had the
What's that?
Slice up the side of his leg that we were like, what?
I think maybe Brandon Thatch did.
Maybe.
I hope that's one of.
It was Brandon Thatch that we made comment. Why is his that cut is like really
high? A little bit of a tie style thing going. I saw a great tweet. I think it was from Mark Raimondi online. It was out there saying, we've been bitching about these how dumb these Reebok kits are, and he says, I've seen about 1,000 people walking around wearing them.
No kidding. Well, then they've obviously achieved their goal.
Yeah.
I will say, again, as a fight nerd, I support where the sport's going, but I'm a little sad to see the fighters' individuality taken away. I mean,
agreed.
Their fight walkout shirts. Yeah. It was always so cool to be able to buy the walkout shirt of the fighter that you love and show that you're there to support them, and you still can do that. But when the fighter walked out and you're wearing their shirt and you're like, and it just helped create such an awesome experience, and it was such an individual thing to the fighter that it makes me sad.
Do you think it's not going to be any fun anymore because you have the shirt where it still says the guy's name on it?
I'm just saying, when they walk out in it, it was a very cool moment for them to be in their own walkout shirt.
Yeah.
And I liked that moment for the fighters. I really did.
Specifically for you, George, I noticed Dana goes in there and he's giving the title to Conor. He's also got a T-shirt in his hand. And I realize now there's going to be a situation where they have to print out at least one of those T-shirts for every title match, lest it change hands. But I got a flashback of a really bad NWO flashback where it's like, dude, you're now a member of the NWO. Here's your official T-shirt. And I thought, Jesus, that seems so chintzy, Granted, you get a belt, and that thing is worth $500 to $1,000 at least. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just not quite going all the way that it should.
You might as well give him a button that says champ.
Real quick though, I don't know why I think they're losing so much money. They said that Aldo McGregor obviously is the next natural fight. Why still going to do it in Vegas? This fight just got so much bigger, and I'm calling it right now.
Where do you want him to go, Brazil?
Aldo McGregor.
Or Ireland?
At least Fenway Park.
That's a good one. Okay. Not going to happen, but good one.
The fight, whatever that will break the UFC pay-per-view record of all time. It's going to break
McGregor?
UFC. It's going to break UFC 100.
Oh yeah, I can believe that.
Break 2 million buys.
I think it still will matter. 2 million?
$2 million?
If they're smart.
No, you smoke crack.
Especially
well, look how much they tried to hype up this.
Especially if it's like January, February. If you put CM Punk on the same card, I think it'll get a lot.
I do think you do need to build up the undercard, but that's a fair argument.
CM Punk.
The debut of CM Punk is going to get a lot of eyeballs, to be sure.
Okay.
I believe that. I know purists, maybe not so much so, but, again, we're talking Reebok, Budweiser.
Wow. I mean, I'll be your fan.
It's a mainstream thing.
I don't care.
I think because it's not a matter of watching the fight. They don't make money by people watching the fight. They make money off people ordering the fight.
Right.
The same way Mayweather-Pacquiao got the fight. It's like, who can anybody even name the undercard of Pacquiao?
Yeah, but that's not how boxing works.
Yeah.
UFC thrives off their undercards.
No, exactly. So I'm saying, like, as long as you have a good undercard, I think it can be really. I really do think it's going to break every UFC record that they
that's
had.
fair.
Well, it remains to be seen. We got to wrap it up here. Guys, we will see you in just about 48, 72 hours covering...
Well, I will be here Tuesday night with our own Daria Baronato. She's going to be our special guest on Tough Enough.
Nice.
The after show, so come watch that, and then before she comes back. She should be here Wednesday, right? Wednesday, July 15th, as we cover the
knock on wood.
UFC
we'll do a special late night show, 11 o'clock after the fight night broadcasted on Fox Sports 1. Ellen Jobon,
Tony Ferguson, 10th Planet representatives, please
so
watch.
We should talk about 11 p.m. Going into midnight.
Special festivity day for J-Day and
J-Day.
International Georgia Palooza. Dawna, where can we find you on social media? Plug it out there.
You can find me on Instagram at Dawna GG, DAWNAGG, Facebook, Dawna Gonzales, and on Twitter, Dawna Gonzales.
You have nice eyes.
Thank you.
But you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Hermoza. That's GHERMOZA. People on iTunes, because people do listen on iTunes. People watching us live, maybe in the future. Yeah, let's, as Joseph Boza knows, we all love the chit chat, and
Yeah, even though we can only like
jiu-jitsu on my page, so if you want to talk jiu-jitsu,
there you go.
Hit a girl up.
JTan 716. Shout out to Chris Mingle, Joe Boza, James Ferran. Thanks for joining us in the group. Sorry if we couldn't respond more so, but that's it. We'll see you in several hours. Peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.